Welcome everybody to another episode of Dave's Movie Dailies. Today we're going to be reviewing another movie. Look at my hair. I look yummy. Yeah, today we're going to be reviewing a movie that I saw around Christmas time, which is about a little while ago. I wasted a little. I didn't watch it till like very end because of the fact that it got such bad reviews in the box office. A lot of people were just trashing this movie, and I kind of knew it was going to be a horrendous film. It's Kraven the Hunter, and it's literally the last Spider-Man villain movie. It was another Spider-Man film without Spider-Man. So there was a crap load of movies that came out for the Sony Spider-Man universe. So they had Venom, Morbius, Venom, Let There Be Carnage, Madam Web, and the one before that was Venom: The Last Dance. And all these movies sucked. Like maybe Venom 1 was like a guilty pleasure. You know, a lot of people didn't know what to expect, so they were kind of like excited about it. And like I went with my friends and we went to go watch, and we were all excited. We thought that, oh my god, eventually they're gonna bring Spider-Man into this. And if you actually saw Venom Let There Be Carnage, at the end they gave you like a little sneak peek where it looked like Venom was going to cross over into the multiverse in the Marvel, cinematic universe, and he actually did. But then he went back to Sony, and Sony made a thing of capturing it in the last movie, which was Venom The Last Dance, and that kind of took away the whole thing of Venom being in the multiverse. So he was there for like a brief moment, and that was it. He disappeared. So how are they gonna get the Venom symbiote into the multiverse? I don't know. Maybe they'll figure it out in the new Spider-Man 4 film that they're working on with Tom Holland. So yeah, this was the last of the Sonyverse Spider-Man movies. It's called Kraven the Hunter. And it was like nobody had no hope for this movie, and obviously so. It was Venom: The Last Dance happened, and then the whole SAG strike happened, and the pandemic happened, and this movie got literally pushed till last year to come out. A lot of Sony swore that this movie was going to make like massive amount of money, and they thought it was going to be like the Christmas movie of the year, and unfortunately it was the Christmas bomb of the year. So this movie obviously came out December. It was December 13th, 2024. I didn't go see it till like way after. I just kept putting it on hold for so many reasons. So this movie follows the story. It's obviously the lead actor is Aaron Taylor Johnson. And if you know Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's been in such movies as Kick-Ass, Kick-Ass 2, and he's done many like British films. He was in the oh my god, I forgot the name of the movie where he was with Brad Pitt and Bad Bunny. It was a train movie. Oh, Bullet Train. Bullet Train. So he was in that movie, and he's been in a lot of other movies. He's doing as a matter of fact, I just saw Nosferatu, and he was also in that. I had no idea that he was in that, but he was in that movie, and he played a good role. And I'll review Nosferatu later on in time, which was another movie that came out around the Christmas season. Since we're in January, we're going into February soon. It was around the Christmas season, so it's still making a killing in the theaters. So yeah, so this movie starts off with kind of like similar stories. Well, let's first get to the basis of it. This movie kind of follows the same idea of the Batman movies, where it's like it shows his origin, but this movie's told in two different timelines. It's his origin, how he becomes Kraven. His real name is Sergei Kravinoff, but he decides to take the mantle of Kraven. And in the comic books, he's a villain. He's known as Kraven the Hunter, and he's a villain. He's a villain of Spider-Man and all that stuff. But Sony decided to make a lot of the Spider-Man characters into like anti-heroes, because I guess they wanted to like, I don't know, do their own superhero thing, but using Spider-Man villains. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. Most of these villains are supposed to be Spider-Man characters, and they don't have a big like backstory. They're villains. It's like the Joker. Do we know anything about the Joker? There's been a lot of people who have come up with origins to the Joker, but unfortunately Bob Kane wasn't the one who came up with the origin story, so people can just take freedom to do whatever they want when it comes to villains, especially Sony. I don't even know if Sony actually like followed comic books when they came up with Madam Web and Venom, because they did their own like free thing. I'm pretty sure they took aspirations from the comics, but excuse me, I don't think that they literally followed it to the T. So yeah, Kraven, Sergei Kravinoff is a young boy. He's with his father. His father's like a big mob boss, and he it's played by Russell Crowe, and Russell Crowe has two sons. One is Kraven, Sergei, who's like the macho-esque son, and then the other son is more of like a fruitcake, in a sense that he's he's not as tough, rough and tough. So yeah, they go on this like excursion, or this kind of like camp, not a camping trip, a hunting trip, and Kraven doesn't want to kill this giant lion who appears before him, and he looks nothing like Mufasa, or nothing like the CGI of like Sony. I mean, it's nothing like the CGI of Disney. He actually looks really bad CGI. Like this movie had a lot of bad CGI, and it looked really cartoony and fake. But whatever, we get the whole origin story. And just to let you guys know, this is a spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to stop this. Go watch the movie wherever you can and then come back. If not, then deal with the spoilers. So we find out that he doesn't want to kill the lion. He ends up getting hurt in the midst of it, and the lion ends up bleeding into his an open wound that he has, and he starts to gain these powers of like animals. A lion, he becomes very agile, very keen sense, very strong, very fast, all these different things, and he's able to connect with animals. Now, the whole thing about this movie is that Kraven, or Kraven's character, he's supposed to be connected to animals in some sort of way, right? And this, he barely uses animals. Like, the only times he uses animals, they're very scattered through, and he kind of doesn't even give a damn about animals. He's supposed to be like Aquaman to the Marvel universe, right? He's supposed to be able to talk to animals, and the animals are supposed to help him. But unfortunately, he kind of just uses them for like backup type stuff, and when it comes down to it, he really doesn't even care about animals. He's over here trying to like pretty much go up against his father, and his father has these plans, and his father wants to get him back on his on his side, because as Sergei grows up, he realizes that his father, all he wanted was to utilize him as like this, to make them ruthless like he is, and he's not like that. So he kind of breaks off from the family and other stuff. But he appears from time to time, into his father's view and all that stuff. But his father's a mob boss, and he has people. And there's this one guy that I think his name is Alessandro Navo. It's like Russian or whatever. And he's kind of like always like itchy and scratchy and all this other stuff. And he has like a power himself that if he takes off a certain thing, he becomes this great horrendous beast. That for the first time that we get, because we did get a version of this character in Amazing Spider-Man 2, and he was a big mechanical machine, and that everybody hated that. So they decided to make this guy the real incarnation of the Rhino. And when we actually saw the commercial, we were like, oh my god, we're gonna see the Rhino. But when you actually see him in this film, you're like, what the heck am I seeing? This a bad rendered CGI version of a short Rhino. And obviously Aaron Taylor Johnson takes this character very serious. He dieted it. He got into some serious training to portray Kraven the Hunter, and at one point he takes off his shirt and you see the ripped abs, the ripped muscles and all that stuff. And my dude was probably starving to death in order to get that six-pack. But yeah, all in all, the CGI was horrendous. The storyline was horrendous. It was badly edited, badly written, and it sucks because most of these characters were so superb. Like most of these actors, I mean, so most of these actors are really grade A characters that were poorly directed, poorly written scripts, poorly edited, poorly shot. That's what made this movie so horrible. A lot of people try to tell me that it was good action, and yeah, maybe it was a little bit. It was good action, but unfortunately, this movie was just a horrendous piece of crap, and it was like it literally cemented the ending of the Sony Spider-Man universe. So this movie is constantly kind of like connecting with two different timelines. One of Sergey being a young boy, and then the other when he is a grown man and he's or like going by the name of Kraven. So he starts off in like this prison, and he has to go and silence this specific prisoner, and he does. Excuse me. He does that, and then you find out that he has all these gifts, and he's very agile, very sporty. He could do all these different things. So you see that the movie takes place when in his origins. The other one takes place when he's already a grown man. So it's taking places in two time periods in his life. So the father, Russell Crowe, portrays this mob boss who's continuously trying to manipulate his sons into doing what he wants them to do, and they're of such great fear they do it. They're continuously listening to the father until Sergey decides enough is enough. I'm done with you. I'm not gonna deal with this. I don't want to kill animals. I kind of want to be I kind of want to protect these animals. I want to he starts doing this whole anti-hero type thing, which again it's against the comics, because the comics he's a villain against Spider-Man. So let's not get into DeBose's character. DeBose is the one female in the movie. I believe her name is Ariana DeBose. She is the one female in this movie that it's like one dimensional, and she's not utilized for anything in particular. Even though she comes from like a witch family and all that stuff. And again, they introduced so many characters. They introduced the foreigner. They introduced the brother who becomes the chameleon. They introduced obviously the rhino. They introduced his father. They introduced Kraven, and Kraven is the only one who has the most story in here, and it's still not done right. Like Ariana DeBose's character being the one female should have been more than just a one-dimensional character. She should have been at least make her a love interest of some sort, but she wasn't even that. She was kind of like his I guess you would say his sidekick in a sense, but again, it wasn't even utilized that way. So it was a hot mess of a rush of a movie. This movie was just rushed. But then again, if you saw Morbius, it was similar. Morbius could have been something good. Even if you didn't have enough backstory to Morbius, you could have made something good. Like, we didn't have to rush into that. Just the same thing as this. We didn't have to rush into Kraven's story. Yeah, you try to give us two different aspects. Him being a young boy, him being an adult male, and all that stuff. But, like, see, this is where movies go wrong. They just want to make a quick buck. And this movie underperformed at the box office. Why? Because of the previous films that Sony has released. I mean, they did good with the Sam Raimi 3, right? They Tobey Maguire's 1, 2, and 3. They did good with the last two Andrew Garfield movies, but then all of a sudden every other movie right there started dropping. Like once they saw Venom, they were like, oh, okay. They made money, but because of the first one's performance, they all thought that part 2 was going to be good, but part 2 was one of the worst pieces of crap. Let There Be Carnage was horrendous. So obviously every movie, Madam Web, that was another piece of crap. They foreshadowed something that was never going to be in the movie. They gave us the 3 Spider Women, and in the end they were there for like less than 15 minutes, or probably even lesser than that, less than 10 minutes, I don't know. So this would be Sony's last entry to the Sony Spider-Verse universe. We're glad that that's done. From what I read, Sony has pitched the idea of selling Spider-Man to Marvel, but then again, Marvel right now is on a whole reissuing of their brand. So let's just hope that something comes of it, and if they do, like, okay, let's get into the nitty gritty right now, you know. But yeah, from a scale of 1 to 10, okay, Aaron Taylor Johnson, great, great actor. His action, amazing. But that's the only redeeming quality. So from 1 to 10, I give it a 2.5 at the most. And that's being generous. Because I like the actors and because I like some of the action. But the story was horrendous. Kraven the Hunter didn't care about animals. He barely even communicated with them. He was constantly putting them in peril as well as innocent people. The story made no sense. It was all over the place. And we're just happy that Sony ended the last run of the Sony Spider-Man universe. Either that or reboot it and do it in the right way. Do it according to... I mean, come on. Yeah, Tom Holland is part of the MCU, but you have Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire who are still up for Spider-Man. Bring them back. Do Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire and do Spider-Man 3 with Andrew Garfield. Give us finales to those movies. Even though Spider-Man 3 was, with the Sam Raimi 3 was kind of like its finale, but they did say they were going to do a fourth one, and then they canceled it years ago, and then they rebooted it with Andrew Garfield. So give us that one movie that you said that Sam Raimi was going to do for the fourth Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, and give us that finale for the third film for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and bring back Gwen Stacy, Emma Stone as Spider-Gwen, and give us that finale. That's what we want. All right, guys, you have a good one. I will come back tomorrow. I know that I've been a little off with my movies and all that stuff. It's just I took some time off. But, yeah, I'll come back tomorrow with another movie, and we will talk more about Dave's Movie Dailies. So this has been Dave's Movie Dailies with Kraven the Hunter. Horrendous movie. Enjoy.